little bit of something resembling outrage, I suppose, but nothing like I would have expected. And this is part of what blows my mind about this shit is that, okay, I remember hearing about it like a couple days after it occurred, and it was like this mild side note. McDonald's is found to like have dogs in their food. Not really. I just thought I'd play into the dogs barking in the background. But hey, maybe they did have dogs in the food. And oh, by the way, 300 and some odd, schoolgirls got kidnapped, and that seemed to be about it. And there was no national notice about it. There was no national or even worldwide outrage. Not for a while. For a while. I mean, it stunned me. It's like, wait a minute, what? I mean, think about it. It's not like this group showed up at 300 different people's homes one at a time and said, we're here for your daughters. They're coming with us. We're going to sell them to slavery. No, they had to show up at one location at one specific time, probably incredibly well armed, and steal these innocent victims and take them off into who knows where with the plan of, they actually said, we're going to sell them. That's what we're going to do. We're going to sell them. There's girls. We're going to sell them. This is all in the name of Allah. And again, many Muslim leaders came out and said, hey, this does not represent Islam at all, which I absolutely agree with and believe completely. But these people are using that as an excuse, and they're saying, we're going to sell these girls. That's what we're going to do. It's like they went to Walmart, picked them up cheap, and they were going to sell them off. I mean, and it was like the hush was staggering how little seemed to be happening, how little, until several weeks later when it started to finally get traction. And some of it began where the mothers of these girls would finally start standing out in public with signs saying, bring our girls home. Which I totally get, because in their situation, they're not exactly equipped to do much other than say, hey, somebody help us. They're not. And I think one of the things that absolutely blew my mind was when sort of part of the response to this became this sort of hashtag campaign. Maybe you guys had seen that, where it was like, oh, we'll hashtag bring our girls home. 'Cause that's effective. Now, I understand that in doing that action, your heart's in the right place. You're trying to do something, and it was something that certainly our First Lady did. I get that the idea was, let's do something to at least try to bring some attention to it. But I'm thinking, I don't know, how about SEAL Team 6? How about maybe public outcry appealing to the rest of the international community saying, hey, by the way, 300 some odd girls have been kidnapped and are getting sold into slavery, and we're all sitting around here talking about it, thinking about it, twiddling our thumbs, and throwing up hashtag signs. Exactly what has that done? What could that possibly do? And the fact that it took a month to even get to that, I think I understand the idea of let's go the diplomatic route. And oftentimes, I think that's a great idea. Except you're dealing with a terrorist group that Al-Qaeda said, oh, those guys are nuts. They're so outside that Al-Qaeda said those guys are nuts. Now, by the way, apparently they were also funding them, but if you think about it, that's their way of going, if we make them look crazy, we might be able to get away with some more shit. So throw them a few dollars that way, and that way, I mean, but just the idea that it's taken this amount of time to even begin to build something resembling some momentum to try to do something, and still we're not. I mean, obviously you have to be smart and you have to be careful. You can't just send people in with boatloads of guns. You don't know exactly where they're held. And are they potentially doing something where if the military shows up, they just start killing girls? I mean, it's an incredibly volatile situation. But the fact that it has taken so long for people to even talk or potentially act, and the best we've got is hashtags, I'm sorry, it's I finally, frankly, find it embarrassing and ridiculous. And by the way, once again, don't take this as somehow being some sort of an attack on the Obama administration. I don't think it would have been any different under a Republican administration either. I think it would have been the same kind of everybody's taking their time and wanting to tiptoe and be careful, or gee, can we just maybe not do anything and somebody else will take care of it because we don't want to be, the world's bullies or the world's police, and everybody's so worried about what they're doing, they forget to do anything. So, yeah, I'm just I'm amazed by it. I'm amazed by the fact that this group is out there, and then they went into. I mean, they are brazen enough. They went into a village and they levied an attack that killed nearly 118 people, unanswered. I mean, no, I'm sorry, it's not true. It wasn't unanswered. Sanctions were leveled on them. Oh, we sanctioned the terrorists. We said, you know what, we're going to sanction you. And they said, and what? I mean, what, do you really think that like the leaders of Boko Haram were like going, oh, we've been sanctioned. They spanked us big time. We've been sanctioned. Give up the girls. No more killing. They sanctioned us. I'm sorry, when you're dealing with people that are that completely over the top, sanctions are, that's like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet hole. I'm sorry, it's just not going to stop the bleeding. And the idea that somehow it could work, incredibly obtuse thinking. The international community actually needs to rally together and go, you know what, we're not going to stand for this. As multiple nations, not necessarily as one leading nation, but whether it's under the guise of the UN, but as multiple nations are then going, we're not going to allow this. And it's, look, either give up the hostages or other things will happen. And the other things won't be pleasant. So at some point, you got to take a stand. You have to. Because if you sit back passively and just allow these things to go on, and you just hope that somehow if you raise your voice loud enough, like I'm doing now, that somehow an insane faction will go, oh my God, I never thought about it that way before. Oh shit. Hey, Ahmad, we were wrong. We shouldn't have kidnapped him. Did you hear that guy? He yelled really loud. We were wrong. I don't think that's going to work. I think the international community needs to come together and make a plan to go rescue these girls. I mean, who knows the kind of treatment that they are being submitted to right now as we speak? Who has been sold? Think about this. Sold into slavery, sold into a marriage, sold into sexual trading, etc. I mean, we're talking, high school and younger, sold into that. And yet all we can do so far is talk a bit about it and hashtags. Really? You really want to meet these young ladies when they finally get rescued, assuming all of them get rescued? And you want to go, we really tried. Yeah, no, we went after you. We had hashtags. Yeah, no, we had hashtags. They were really they were 44 caliber hashtags, but they were hashtags. That's what we wanted to come after you. We were hoping that was going to... Yeah. I think they might be a little disappointed. They might feel a little let down. I would think if I was in their shoes, I would be. I would have hoped that there would have been a little bit of a greater outcry, and a greater outcry a lot quicker. But... I don't know, maybe I'm a party of one. It wouldn't be the first time. But the great thing is that if you happen to feel the same way, you can raise your voice to your representative and congressperson and maybe try to exert some pressure. I've done a bit of that. I'll be honest, it has not clearly yielded anything. But maybe if enough of us start to raise our voices and say, hey, you know what? It's not okay with us that these things are going on in the world, number one. And what's also really important is that we as citizens of the planet and citizens of, let's face it, one of the strongest nations on the planet, are somehow sitting back and allowing it to happen. To an extent, we're allowing it because our nation isn't really doing anything about it. Not that I've heard about. And hey, maybe there's some sort of great secret covert operation, and I'm going to, get up tomorrow morning, there's going to be something on the news. They've been found, they've been rescued. I'm not thinking so. Are you? I don't know. But if these things are allowed to continue, you know what's going to happen? They're going to continue. These things will keep going on until we as a people decide that it's not okay for it to continue. For us to decide that we're not okay with allowing it to go on, because this is not the kind of world that we want to be in. This is not the kind of environment that we want to allow to go on. We can't sit here in this nation and talk about a potential or perceived war on women and then allow 300 women to get kidnapped and sold into slavery. That's hypocritical with a capital fucking H. So, I don't know. Maybe it's time to speak up. Maybe it's time to say something. Pick up the phone, send an email. It doesn't take that long. It's not that hard. It may fall on deaf ears. It may fall on deaf ears the first time, second time, the third time. But, enough voices, enough time, maybe, just maybe, we can set the wrong things right. Maybe. Well, I'll tell you. This has been an interesting hour for me. Thanks for, if y'all stayed tuned, for sticking into my bloviating and listening to some of my musical favorites. I want to thank y'all so much. This has been certainly a unique episode of Eat Crow. I have been your host, Brian Crow. I will be back next week with who knows what. But thanks for tuning in. And if any of this struck you in any particular way, feel free to act on it. I think that's maybe the hope. If I'm doing this kind of stuff, if any of this means something to you, do something about it. What else you have to lose? Nothing. So act. Don't fake it. Go out and get it. I love you. Good night.
The time is upon us. We've heard his bellows from afar. Can you hear him? He's approaching. And what say you? Is that you? Hello there! The fog separates and he appears from the shadows. He transforms before our very eyes and walks upon the earth. He is the Crow.
It's the Hollywood Rockin' Wrap-Up with your host, Jason Hadley. Yet another underage sex lawsuit is set to be filed against Bryan Singer, this time by a teenage boy out of Great Britain. Calls to the X-Men director have not been returned, however that's understandable considering this is such a touchy subject. VH1's reality show starring Leanne Rimes is apparently receiving less than stellar reviews. So if you were paying attention to the first joke, I think the takeaway here is that it's a bad time to be a singer. There's a feud brewing in the stand-up comedy world after Mike Epps referred to Kevin Hart as overrated. However, at only 5 foot 2 inches tall, rated is on a long list of things that are over Kevin Hart, including kitchen cabinet handles and that red line that says you can't go on certain amusement park rides. Ben Affleck was recently banned for life from the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas for reportedly counting cards. While counting cards isn't technically illegal, counting them on your fingers is just stupid. And that's the Hollywood Rockin' Wrap-Up. Follow us on Twitter at Rockin' Wrap-Up.
H2O Restoration and Mold is your complete restoration solution when your home or business is exposed to water damage and mold infestation. H2O Water Damage and Mold are licensed, bonded, and insured, and has a certified and dedicated team that are qualified to handle your water damage and restoration needs. We offer 24/7 immediate emergency response anywhere in our service areas, with arrival to your location within 1 hour or less. We offer direct insurance billing to save you the headache of paperwork. H2O Water Damage and Mold Mold are family owned and operated, and we offer free estimates. We pride ourselves on being a trustworthy, elite company that excels at what we do because we love what we do. Our primary mission is to provide you with outstanding service and excellent workmanship while remaining professional, courteous, and honest. For more information, visit h2owaterdamage.com or call us at 805-907-6213. H2O Restoration and Mold Damage Specialists.
Guys, here are your hosts, Paulie and Vinny.
All right, it is time for another episode of Drinks at Sunset with
The Wise Guys.
I'm J. Anthony McCarthy.
I'm Steve Sabo.
And we are two men of a certain age trying to make it as entrepreneurs and actors and entertainers in this Los Angeles, this Hollywood.
This land of la-la.
Indeed. And we're just doing our weekly podcast, talking about all the wonderful things that have come through our lives, good, bad, the otherwise, just to give you sort of a little clue what the actor's life can be in Los Angeles. Anytime it sounds like we're bitching or whining, try to take it with a grain of salt, because honestly, it's just life. It's part of what everything happens. So,
well, it's good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I've been I've been AWOL the last 2 weeks because of a couple of little things that
just tiny little things.
Yeah. So, but there seems to be progress, and we'll see. I'll talk about that in a minute. So,
well, let's at least introduce this fine young gentleman right here who. I think he's a great actor.
Yeah.
And we have him here for a guest. We're honored to have him here. And his name is Jim McCaffrey.
Jim McCaffrey.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Thanks for having me on here.
Well, thanks for coming out, man. We appreciate you being here. He's worked with us on a number of projects. One of the things that I'm going to brag about a little bit is just, some of your background out of Chicago with improv. I know that you were at a number of different studios, but the one that kind of stands out in my head was the time that you spent with Mick Napier and the Annoyance Theater. I think you took some work with them.
I took classes at the Annoyance Theater with Mick, among other people. A guy named Joe Bill.
Oh, yeah.
And Rebecca Sohn.
Wow.
Just a great place to learn improv, learn how to break the rules right. That's the reputation in Chicago, at least when I was there. You go to Second City to learn the rules.
Okay.
And then you go to the Annoyance to learn how to break them.
Yeah, that sounds. It seems like that. Like most of my improv experience has been here in LA, which has grown as an improv center over the last 10, 15 years. And it has a number of different places. It's got, Acme. It used to have Bang, the Hot House. You have Second City, IO West, the Groundlings, and there's others that my brain isn't bringing up right now.
What is it, United Brigade or something like that?
Oh, UCB, that's
UCB?
right. Yeah, I totally forgot about them. They're kind of the hot spot right now. There's a lot of, a lot of casting directors and everything kind of going over and checking them out. I know a lot of our mutual friends have wound up taking classes there. You ever done a UCB class?
Nope, never.
No, I'm in the same boat. So just right now it's money. So
what about Second City here?
No, I never took classes at Second City here. I took those classes in Chicago.
John Siskel, I think you know John, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's done Second City here. He really liked it.
Yeah. I went through the whole conservatory here as well. That was one of my one of the things that I did while I was out here, and studying not quite as long as Jim, but for some time. So. But yeah, it's from the standpoint of acting and everything else, for all that people make fun of improv shows and how crappy they can be and often are, but there's also some brilliance that's out there. Yeah. But being able to be an improvisational actor, an actor who is able to just kind of go with whatever's happening, I think that's a really big deal as an actor in Los Angeles. This is my little soapbox.
Well, you're not alone. Andy, who was one of our guests here on our show, spoke very highly of it. He thought it was one of the best ways of learning your chops and just staying in the moment and being organic and not being, not indicating and all that on the camera.
Right.
And he seems to be doing well with it. So
Yeah, he's doing a
I don't
good
blame
job.
your soapbox at all.
Yeah. So, since we're started in this, usually we sort of talk about our week and everything else. But since we're already talking to you, Jim, what got you started? So you came from Illinois originally, or is that?
Spent 10 years in Chicago.
Wow, nice. Did you enjoy the town?
I did. I got tired of the weather.
Really muggy and hot in the summer and cold in the winter.
And really overcast all the time.
Oh, wow.
And when it was sunny, that's when it was really cold.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds a lot like Buffalo.
Buffalo's worse, I think.
Well, it's not Chicago. That's why.
But so what took you to Chicago originally? What was it that motivated you to go to Chicago? Was it you wanted to be an actor or an improviser?
Originally, no. That wasn't in the plan at that time. I moved to Chicago from Champaign, Illinois, which is where I was living with Mom and Dad, and I moved up there for a job.
Nice. What were you doing at the time? Do you mind if I mean, anything I ask that you don't want to talk about, tell me to shut up. I'm not going to.
Well, it was confidential.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. I moved.
So her name was confidential.
Yeah.
You were saying.
I was proofreading textbooks in Champaign and living with Mom and Dad, and got a gig in Chicago, copy editing catalog material.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I love to read. I mean, it's one of my favorite things in the whole world. But the idea of proofreading makes my ears bleed.
Yeah. And I've been doing it a while.
A long time.
A long time. Too long.
You're doing it out here now, aren't you?
Yeah.
A little bit?
Yep.
Just a bit?
Yep.
Little bit?
Only 40 hours a week.
That's all. Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
That leaves you plenty of time to go to auditions and do all the things you need to do as an actor in LA, right?
Not as much as I'd like, but it's money.
Yeah.
Are they pretty flexible though? If you get an
Yeah, they
audition?
do. They do let me go on auditions, and one pro to that is I booked a recurring part on a show that I had done in August. Probably can't give details right now, but
Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Is it a network show or is it a web? Or should I even
Cable show.
Oh,
Very nice.
Cable
Excellent.
show on kids.
Fantastic.
This is
All right.
great news.
Thank you.
Yeah,
This is
that's
really
excellent
good
news, man.
So I get to take vacation.
Donald P.
time
Smith is going to be on TV.
I love it, man. Congratulations. I mean,
thank
I know how hard you've worked being out here, and I know that you're a solid actor. I mean, you're consistent and able to create some really great characters. It's been a lot of fun to do improv with to different points in our lives.
Back at you.
Well, thank you very much. You did a thing. A mutual friend of ours wrote a show called what was it? Pants on Fire.
Yeah.
And you were the lead on that. I was very tickled to see that it finally got edited and put together, and I haven't gotten to see much of it. But how do you feel? Did you enjoy? I mean, I know that you enjoyed doing it. How do you feel about the project?
I feel really good about it.
That's fantastic.
When I went to the screening, a couple of years ago?
Yeah. It's the way things move out here sometimes.
Yeah. I think how long ago did we shoot that? 3 or 4 years ago?
I think about 30 pounds ago for me. Yeah. So,
Very skinny. That's enough.
yeah.
But I watched it, and you know how you'll do something and you think it's funny when you're doing it,
Right.
And then you see it and not so much.
Did that miss? Did it hit? Did it miss?
Yeah, why did I do that?
Yeah.
But it was still funny.
Yeah.
So that's good.
That's cool. I'm glad to hear that. So again, very tickled to have you out here. I'm gonna backtrack a little bit and kind of go back to our sort of typical thing. I'm gonna talk to Steve for a second. And say, hey, Steve, how you doing?
How you doing?
How was your week?
My week was okay.
Yeah.
But let's see. This is my last week of teaching chess.
Right. They're
as an
on
after-school
hiatus
program. Yeah.
for the summer.
They're
right?
on. Yeah. Well, for the schools that I'm with, this was our last week, and it was really fun because the last 2 weeks of the program we do a tournament, And so we do a 2-week cycle, and then the final week we then pass out trophies and
Nice.
medals for the people who win the tournament. And then, of course, nobody goes home without a medal. So.
Yes.
But at least everybody gets something out of it. But it was fun because seeing this was some of these schools. This was my second time, so I was able to see the kids a second time. So and how they react to the tournaments, and it's interesting because you can see who are the competitive kids, and you see the kids who are just there to say, well, this is what mom's making me do. She can't come pick me up right now.
Yeah.
But the ones that are competitive, it's a good type of competitive, so that's good. It's not the angry, if I lose, I'm going to go cry in the corners type of thing.
So nobody like me in the class. That's excellent.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
And so I saw a lot of, it's also interesting to see kids who sit down and they, I got to play him, I'm going to lose.
Oh, wow.
And I go, no. I say, no, you don't know that yet. So why don't you just give your best effort and see what happens?
Yeah.
And it's almost 50-50. They'll win that match.
No kidding.
But
Just
even though
by applying themselves against somebody they know
it's the frame
they
of
think
mind.
is better.
It's the frame of mind of when they start and how well they do. And if you just you allow them to have that thought in their mind of I'm going to lose, and you reinforce that, they probably will.
That's
So I always
interesting.
try to plant a positive thought, so at least they got something going in. And it's fun. It's fun seeing the kids be competitive and try to win and enjoy both angles. Some of the kids, I lost, and who can I play now? Because you get a point every time you win, and if some of these kids are getting 5-6 points. That's not bad in an hour class.
Wow.
Because they gotta you gotta play so many matches. You can only play so many matches in an hour. And
Yeah.
Sometimes the kids take a long time. Sometimes one match is the whole hour.
Right.
So, some kids get 3 or 4 done because they get quick checkmates, and that's how they pile up the points. So it's fun passing out the trophies, and everybody's clapping and stuff. One of the schools, we gave out ice cream. We had a little ice cream party. So,
Oh, wow. Excellent.
but I found
Bluebell ice cream.
it was ice cream sandwiches.
Just ice cream,
trying to make
okay.
it easy. But we always say, "Has anybody got any food allergies?" And one kid get dairy. Okay, who's got? And some of the hands went down. Sugar, or some of the hands went down. And so there was only one little girl who had her hand raised for all the list of things we asked if they're allergic to.
So you had to come up with
And,
something for her.
So I said, well, what are you allergic to? And I think we named like 3 or 4 things. She added about 5 more.
Oh, my God.
And I'm like, what can you eat? She says, I can eat Smarties and Skittles.
What? That's...
Those are the 2 things. I said, okay, here's my
we'll get
guarantee.
you-
If you come back to class in the fall, I'll make sure you get Smarties and Skittles, and it'll be my gift to you. She's, oh, really? She was all excited
I'd still
about
check with the parent, just in case it's like, she's diabetic. My God,
Yeah,
what are
that's
you
right.
doing?
That's right. But it was fun. It's sad. It's kind of like theater.
Yeah.
You go through the run of the show, and you got all that energy, and then when it ends, it's like, oh.
Yep.
And I'm kind of right there now.
And here's the thing that's so fascinating to me. It's like I just, I had done Tartuffe last month, and it was, for me, I've said this before, it was an unbelievably stressful show for me because of myself, not because of anybody in the show. I had fantastic castmates, had fantastic director, fantastic support from the theater, but for all the stress and everything else, immediately started missing everybody, when it came 7 o'clock call time the following Thursday, and it's like, I'm not over at the theater, huh?
Yeah.
So I understand that sense of loss.
Yeah.
Even if you're at a point where you're like, you know what, I'm just tired of working with that person over there. Wow, I kind of miss him after a week.
I miss being tired of working with that guy.
Yeah, there's an aspect to that. It's ridiculous.
Sorry I missed that, by the way. The day I was going to see that, I got dumped. Like,
you said that, and I totally understood that. And oh my
I
God,
didn't
it's
feel
like
like seeing anyone.
Come on out and have a laugh. Come on, man. It's like, no, don't be a jerk. Just let the guy do what he needs to do.
I just wanted
I'm
to
so
drink.
sorry, man.
I just wanted to drink alone. Is that wrong?
As long as
Is that a
it's
disease
not
or
wrong.
something?
as long as you're not still doing it now.
No, I'm not.
My dad said said to me one time, he goes, Steve, the last thing you want to do is get in the habit of drinking alone. So once in a while or a one-off, not a problem. Every day, problem. That's right.
Yeah, so-
But speaking of drinks, what do you think of the drinks?
I'm kind of stupidly happy. It's probably my last hurrah with this because of some of the dietary things I'm going to have to pay attention to. But little Hecho en Mexico Coca-Cola with real sugar.
Real sugar Coca-Cola. How about that?
That just makes me stupidly happy.
Only in California.
Good.
Out of a glass bottle.
Out of a glass bottle. Yes.
I tell you right now, it's ridiculous, but I honestly believe I can taste the difference between the same drink out of glass, plastic, or cans, aluminum cans. It just doesn't taste quite the same as coming out of glass. It's weird, but it always seems to taste better to me, fresher or whatever it is I'm drinking.
I got a guy who I worked with in Erie, Pennsylvania. His name is Bob Macy, and he was convinced, and he probably still is, and I'm not saying he's wrong, but I haven't really done the research, but he thinks that a lot of the diseases like Alzheimer's? Alzheimer's. Am I saying it right?
Yeah, Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's. And things like that are due to the fact that we use aluminum for like cans and things like that, and the Teflon coating on pans.
Right.
So he's like, if you go to this guy's house, it's all bottles, and it's all wrought iron for cooking things like that, because the guy's just like a maniac when it comes to these types of things. And he's probably going to live to be 120. You know what I mean? But
how
he's
happy
convinced.
is he going to be?
Yeah. Well,
and that's the thing. That's his choice.
Or he'll be the first to go.
Yeah, that's right. It doesn't adjust
Dancing
his,
on his grave.
Yeah, it doesn't adjust his lifestyle, other than the fire he makes me build just to heat the house. But other than that, it's okay.
That
But,
and you have to poop in his backyard so he
That's
can't
right.
compost it for fuel. So what's interesting is there's been a lot of studies on that shows that that's probably not a big deal, but it's always good to pay attention. The thing is, for me, is to always try and find out as much as I can from a scientific aspect, not pseudoscience. Well, I heard blah. This is going to be an.
Oh no, this guy does his stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, this guy's not craziness. He just takes it to the nth degree when it comes to certain things, and this
Yeah.
was one of them. And I'm like, okay, I'll give you that. You don't have to have it. I'll drink a bottle. That's fine. That's not a problem. But anyways,
you made me think of something that I'm going to mention. That we usually kind of stay away from certain subjects and everything, but it's genetically modified organisms, GMOs.
Oh, I know.
The thing that I find fascinating is from a scientific standpoint. Most of us are already eating stuff like that. My only objection to some of the legislature that's going on with GMOs is the fact that they're trying to say you don't need to know.
Mm-hmm.
I just would like to know as a choice. You know what I mean? Like there's corn, the corn on the cob and everything else. Well, guess what? Pretty much every corn, all the corn done in the United States is a GMO. It has been genetically modified, et cetera, et cetera. And there's really good things that come out of it. There's also some, crappy things that come out of it, like tomatoes that will last forever but taste terrible, Hey, it gets all the way to the market and it doesn't bruise and it's still beautiful and red and it just tastes like crap. But that's from talking about, talking about science, real science, paying attention to it. The only objection I have is let me make a choice.
Right.
Let me know. That's all. That's all I'm
I hear
asking.
you.
You know what I
I hear
mean?
you.
So
Yeah.
that was my little soapbox. I'm going to put that away now.
So the rest of my week is
Yes.
Working at Vortex with the door company,
Right.
and they're going through an adjustment. The guy who is the head of the office has been promoted to this San Diego office, and
Oh.
he's leaving next week. So the guy who was the service tech underneath him has moved up and got promoted to his spot. And today I met the guy who was replacing the service tech. So, and we hired an extra part-time marketing rep. So all the leads that I bring in to the service tech is now going to the marketing rep. So there's a lot of things that are new and we have to adjust to.
Okay.
And it's good. It's kind of good.
Yeah, it doesn't
Hopefully-
sound horrible.
No,
I was
hopefully
hoping you were telling me that you moved up, but
No. But with the reduction in the after school program, I'm having to make a decision on probably coming up with a different path for my day job.
More full time.
Yeah, I need more hours, or better yet, more income.
Yeah, exactly.
So I take less hours and more money.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's an option right now.
No.
But Jim, if you find something like that, let me know. Okay. And vice versa. If I find something like that for you, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Boom.
Something that saves your eyes from the proofreading. So.
So,
So
how about you? Let's hear about your couple of weeks.
Yeah.
If for all the people out there who's been watching and following our shows here on exciteradio.com and kxsr.net, we've been showing some of our videos the last couple of weeks, and there's a reason for that. Number one, we're proud of our work.
Yes.
And number two, we haven't been able to hit the studio because of health reasons.
Yeah,
and I'm going to let Tony elaborate on that.
Little health problems. I'm going to talk about it real quick and then try and let it go because it doesn't. This show shouldn't be all about me. Mostly, no.
At least a third.
On April 30th, I had a catastrophic injury while I was working out at the gym. I completely ruptured my left quadriceps tendon.
Yeah.
Which means that when I fell after lifting the weight, and I lifted the weight properly, I did a good snatch and hit the bottom position, and my 315-pound, 51-year-old body said, "Dude,
yeah,
snap." And so I hit the ground, and of course I bailed out of the weight right. I know how to do that, not a big deal. I wasn't injured by anything else, and I went to get up, and my left leg said, "What are you doing?" I couldn't extend the leg anymore. My hamstrings worked. I could pull it in and bend the knee, but I couldn't extend it because that tendon wasn't attached anymore.
Ow.
Now, here's the thing. It didn't hurt. Swear to God, it didn't hurt. It was this is not one of these things. I'm not a tough guy. I am not a tough guy. When I'm hurting, it's not happy. I'm not bragging about how tough I am. It didn't hurt. Wound up going to emergency room, getting referrals, et cetera, because I'm in the Medi-Cal, or was supposed to be in Medi-Cal, and it hadn't been put into effect yet. So it's been a long, drawn-out process over the last couple of weeks. A few days after the accident, because of the stress and trauma on my body, some kidney stones that had been hanging out decided to go, yeah, it's time for us to go. And so they've been pushing their way through my system for the last 2 weeks. And anybody who's had a stone knows how bad that is and how painful it is. Anybody that doesn't have a stone, I ask whatever you deem holy that you never have to worry about it. I literally have lost 30 pounds since April 30th because I haven't been able to eat except a bite or two because my appetite's been so bad. I haven't been sick. I haven't been feverish. I haven't, but it's like, oh, yeah, I'm hungry. I'll have a bite of this. I'm done. Okay. I bought some soup from a local grocery store that normally would have been 2 meals. It lasted for almost 8 because it was just like, oh, I'm done, So that's what's been going on. And the pain has been sufficient the last 2 weeks that I just haven't been able to get to the studio. On top of which, my car is a stick shift, and my left leg is completely immobilized. You can't really see it in the studio right now, but I'm sitting with my leg completely stretched out straight because I'm not allowed to bend the knee. But I've got, for all that things are moving slowly, I've had some great doctors and great nurses who have taken good care of me, the surgeons, the UCLA surgeons over at Harbor General. As far as they can see, everything's healing right, and so I should have my leg back in a couple of months. And I'm already supposed to be walking on it, so I'm gimping around on the leg. So
you had an operation. They reattached it. That went well.
Went very well, and then I was just dealing with the pain from the kidney stones off and on for the last 2 weeks.
Kidney stones was unexpected, but it happened.
Yep.
But the flip side of that is you lost 30 pounds.
Yeah, yes.
And that was something that we had to do anyways.
Right. I need to lose more weight, and so for all of you people out there who are looking to lose weight, I'd like to introduce you to the WiseGuys diet program.
Yes.
And if you don't have your own, we'll insert a kidney stone. and you'll have it anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks, and you should drop a significant amount of weight.
It's the Wacko 9000.
Great. Is that covered by Covered California?
We're actually in talks with them right now, so we'll see.
We're
we'll
trying
see.
to get a patent on it.
Yeah, so.
Oh, great. Can I be in your test group?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you don't really need to lose any weight. You've been pretty
done a
consistent.
great job, Jim.
You
You've done a
cut some
great
weight, and you kept
thank you.
a large percentage of it off, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's true. It's true. I've seen you at all different levels, and you look solid right now, man.
Yeah.
Thanks, bro.
Anytime, bro. Yeah, there we go. So that's been my week.
Weeks. And you know what? I give you a lot of credit for hanging in there
Thank
and
you.
staying positive. Because there's a lot that we can, you want to focus on the donut, you focus on the hole, and you know what I mean. And so there's a lot there you can that'll if you allow it'll let you get you down. And you have it, and I think that's great.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm glad you weren't there. A week ago at like 5 a.m. when I'm watching the 5th season of 30 Rock on Netflix. And bawling my eyes out because it's never going to happen for me. It's too late, and I've destroyed my leg. And oh my god! And then about 10 minutes later, I'm like, what the hell was that? I'm done with that.
Right.
I felt like I kind of hit a little rock bottom moment, and I'm working my way back up. And again, listen to all this: kidney stone, it's going to pass. Tendon tear, it's been repaired. Guess what? Compared to a lot of people out there who have actual problems, I'm doing all right,
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of times where you get this poor me attitude, and you look over there and you see something that makes you realize, I don't got it so bad.
Yeah.
I really don't have it so bad.
It sucks, but it doesn't suck that much.
Yeah, and it's an eye opener, and it's like, come on, Steve, come on.
Yeah.
Let's pull it together because, it could be a lot worse, and it really isn't.
So, all right. Well, so that's kind of us touching on our weeks. I want to go back to Jim here.
Yeah, let's talk to Jim, man.
I want to ask you this: when you were in Chicago, you went there for the proofreading job. What was the first thing that got you wrapped up in acting? What was it that made you go, "Damn, I'd like to do a show. I'd like to." Was it a theater thing? Was it an improv thing? Or
let's see. I think years before I started performing, it was Carol Burnett.
wow,
The Carol Burnett Show. Yeah.
I love her.
Yeah. Love her, and I was a big fan of Harvey Korman.
Awesome.
And
Tim Conway. Oh my God. Yeah.
And even Lyle Waggoner.
Yes, because he was perfect at what he was doing.
Exactly.
So
Did you know that he started the company that makes Star Wagons?
yeah, he's the guy who sends out all of the
The honey wagons?
the honey wagons
Yeah.
and the dressing rooms and the personal rooms for all of the stars that are on sets that don't have permanent buildings and stuff like that. Yeah.
Probably made more money from that.
Oh yeah. Are you kidding? He's a smart entrepreneur. That's fantastic. Took the money he made from that and did it. So you were already interested in the comedy aspect of things before you went to Chicago, but
I started acting in high school.
okay.
It was a freshman year of high school for the variety show. Our high school variety show had musical numbers, and we did old SNL sketches.
Oh wow. Okay.
And freshman year, I wasn't in any of the sketches.
Oh.
I was in one of the musical numbers. We were Mouseketeers, and because I was in chorus.
Okay. What's your range? What was your voice and range?
I think I'm a baritone. Mm-hmm. But I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
So I didn't like doing that. The sketches looked like a lot more fun, and I thought I could do that. And the next year I did it.
That's very
Great.
cool, man.
Yeah.
That's very cool. But so transitioning from that was fun to maybe I can make a job out of this. What was there a moment where somebody in Chicago said, you should do this commercial or go to this audition or something like that?
Let's see. Well, I was a theater major in college.
Oh, no kidding. So
Yeah.
you actually,
Very nice.
that was something you were pursuing. You're like, this is
Yeah.
cool. I'm going to do this. Okay.
The track did that, got burned out, and decided to go to law school.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You've told me that before. I've forgotten. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, I went there 1 year. Hated it.
Where'd you go? What school?
St. Louis University.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. So then a couple of years passed, and then I moved up to Chicago, and that's when I started taking improv classes at a place called the Players Workshop of Second City, which actually was not part of Second City.
Interesting.
And I took it for writing because at the time I wanted to write.
Okay.
And I thought that would be good for writing. And then I got the bug again and started auditioning for plays.
That's fantastic. So you've done stage plays and everything else. What's one of your favorite roles that you've done? Television, stage, web series, whatever.
Let's see. I think back.
And I'm
in
not fishing.
I think back in Chicago, I was with a theater troupe called WNEP Theater.
Yeah, I've heard about. Yeah,
I think it's called What's Next Entertainment Productions, depending on who you ask.
Okay.
And we did a show called Cross Currents that was completely wordless. We developed it through improv.
Wow.
And it was about people not making connections and then eventually making a connection with someone.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah,
Sounds
we developed it through improv. And when we weren't center stage, we were still on stage, but in back.
Right.
But we were doing micro movements.
Okay.
And one of the things we did at rehearsal to prep for that was lying on the ground and taking like 45 minutes to stand up.
Wow.
So really focusing on the micro movements.
It sounds fantastic, but it would drive me absolutely bat crazy.
You need a little patience.
Yeah.
It almost sounds like some type of like kung fu, getting in touch with your spiritual. I mean, to take 45 minutes to stand up, that's muscle control. I mean, that's a workout for me.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm saying. That's a long time to stand up.
I've never been aware of how many
improv
movements
yoga,
it takes to just do that.
To move your hand, move your fingers that much.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And that's one of those things we go back to talking about being actors and everything else. Here's one of my frou-frou actor things, but we are our own instrument. I don't know how to play a piano or a violin or anything, but I have to be in touch with what my body and my brain can do, you know. Something like that makes you that aware of how things function in your body has got to be kind of like almost like a reset button. Like, oh, this is fresh. This is cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool, man.
And I'll tell you, the auditions were funny.
Oh, God.
There were two groups of people auditioning for that show, dancers and improvisers. And the dancers, before the auditions, were warming up and doing dancer things. And the improvisers were just sitting around eating.
Yeah. a real distinct divide between the warm-ups and everything else. Yeah.
So how did you get from there to L.A.? When did you get? When did you get? Easy for me to say.
Yeah.
When did you get out here?
10.5 years ago.
Okay.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah.
I just got jealous of everybody I knew who was coming out here. There wasn't much TV production in Chicago at the time.
Mm-hmm.
You have connections or family out here, or just
no? I have no family out here. I knew two guys.
Wolf.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I knew two guys. One's now in New York, and the other I see very rarely. I'm still in touch with him, but I just see him very rarely.
Understood.
And I slept in the one guy's the floor of his studio apartment in Studio City when I got out here.
Oh, wow.
With him and his fiancée.
Oh, that's...
I slept on the floor. I didn't sleep with both of them.
I think... Well, actually, that was a good question, so yeah.
So...
Three's Company... Oh, what did it say?
Yeah, no
Three's
privacy.
Company and a floor.
Yeah.
So you 10.5 years ago, and what would you say... it took to get you to realize that I can stay out here. This makes sense. I made a good move. Was it a part? Was it a class you took? Was it somebody you met? A connection? What do you think?
Tough question.
Sorry, let me make it easy. I thought it was when you did the web series, We Picked the Winners. I thought you were fabulous, and then if I do say so myself.
Yeah, it's
Thanks.
fun.
I was this close to leaving.
I know you've had your doubts because you and I have talked about stuff, and I know you've had your moments where you're like, and as have I. I'm not like trying to out you on something like that.
As have I.
Of like, wow,
I'm having those moments now.
I don't know if I'm going to make it in Los Angeles, or if I'm going to make it at all. Should I even be here? Why am I here? So
Right. I think whenever I thought that way, when I first moved out here, I thought, well, I can't really move back to Chicago. I don't have a job. I don't have a place to live.
Right.
So might as well stay out here.
And the weather is different.
Yeah.
Yeah. The weather out here makes me think, like I've been out here 20 years now. And it doesn't feel like 20 years. If I look at my headshots and look at my current headshots, it's 20 years, maybe 40. I don't know. But because the weather is so kind of consistent out here, it's like overcast, hot, overcast. There's no real serious specific seasons out here. And I think it makes it easy to have time kind of just slip past you. It's like, oh, it's Christmas time. Oh, yeah. Well, in LA, it's about the same weather as,
Where do you live where it's overcast?
Well, see, I'm on the west side right now.
Okay, because it's sunny.
Yeah.
Maybe a cloud. Sunny.
Well, that's the valley. Yeah.
A cloud went by. A sunny.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's.
Did you have either of you seen that little graphic? It's the map of Los Angeles done in reality, like here be cougars and
the judgmental map.
Judgmental map, yeah. Oh my God! And the thing that made me laugh the hardest was the place that I feel is the most appropriate for me is living in Studio City, North Hollywood, because of access to all of the places I need to go. It's the easiest place to get to all of the auditions, most of the studios, et cetera, as opposed to starting from the West Side, as opposed to starting from Culver City, as opposed to starting from West Hollywood. That, and of course on the judgmental map, it just said struggling actors in the Valley. It covered that whole section of the Valley, studio, Sherman Oaks to Burbank, basically. And I was like, yeah, you're right.
There are no struggling actors in Sherman Oaks.
That's true. That's true. But,
you asked Jim a very good question, is what part was your favorite? I'm going to ask you.
Wow.
What part, role, movie, TV, stage?
Holy mackerel. So
you feel is your favorite or you resonated with the most?
There's a character I developed for a web series called Boris Ivanovich, who was like a hero.
Boris.
Yeah, for Ann Boris. He was a part of a KGB team in Russia during the Soviet Union, and they were heroes in the motherland. They were heroes in Russia and everything else. And then he had to defect because of the storyline was like he was trying to protect somebody. It was like either he stays and somebody dies, or he leaves and people live, right? And the day he gets to the United States is the day the Soviet Union fell, and so he's just been getting older, fatter, and slower. I like him a lot because he's just sort of an aspect of me. But the thing that kind of caught me, I went to a conservatory back when I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. I went to a 2-year conservatory in Washington, D.C., and we did Waiting for Lefty. And I got to play basically all the villains. I was the Union leader, Fat, F-A-T-T, and this was before I was as fat as I am, so... And then there was a
30 pounds skinnier.
Yeah, well, actually, probably more. There was another character named Fayette, F-A-Y-E-T-T-E, who was a boss at like a chemical plant, and he was trying to get one of the other guys to spy for him on one of the scientists. And so I got to play these two roles, and the only difference was, during a blackout, I put on a tie. And then, and then took it off. But I did, different posture, a slightly different accent. Not
but
heavy.
that tie got you. That tie got you to be that character.
The big deal was, as much as I enjoyed doing the part, the thing that came out of it was this: my mom and dad and my sister and a couple other people came to see the final performance of that show. And it was a little tiny black box theater in Georgetown, and on the edge of Washington, D.C. And my dad said after the show that it took him until the second act to recognize me.
Wow.
I didn't have any makeup on. I didn't have any heavy makeup on. I wasn't wearing weird clothes. I was wearing, a work shirt open and, trousers as the union leader, and I had a big cigar.
This was out here?
No, this was back east. This was
Okay.
in D.C.
Gotcha.
This is where the conservatory was. And that was the moment where I went, if I can fool my dad, if my dad, who is an incredibly loving and intelligent guy, one of the most intelligent men I've ever known in my life, if I can fool him, if he can go, wow, you can do it. That was the moment where I'm like, that was a good role. That was a good role. So that's sort of my favorite, from that
Nice.
standpoint. So
Nice.
How about you?
Oh, well,
Since we're going around the table like this?
yeah. I've done a lot of theater before I came out here.
Right.
And
South Carolina and other
yeah.
places, right?
Yep, South Carolina mostly.
To actual theater houses, like 400 seats and stuff like that.
Yeah. And yeah, some bigger. This was I think it was like one theater was like 150, and the other was and the other one was almost 450.
Yeah.
So it was a nice theater called Town Theater in Columbia, South Carolina, and I was mostly I would be sidekick,
Right.
ensemble.
Right.
But the one play I got the lead in was The Foreigner.
I was wondering if that was it.
And I played Charlie Baker. And my relatives in Charlotte, my aunt and uncle were my favorite aunt and uncle, and their kids would always come up from Charlotte to watch me in one of my runs, because there's usually 16 shows.
Right.
4 weekends or 4 weeks of, Wednesday, Thursday through Sundays. But with the Foreigner, which was one of the last plays I did in South Carolina before I came out here, my mom and dad were coming up from Florida.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because they were at that time they were making the trip from Buffalo down to Florida during the winter.
Right.
And then on the way up, they would stop in Charlotte to see my aunt and uncle or me, and on the way, and I was in the middle of the run, and they came and saw me do the show.
Oh, man.
And it was just a blast, and that by far is probably my favorite role.
Yeah, we just saw a presentation of The Foreigner recently.
Right?
That was
me and you went.
mildly disappointing.
It was interesting, an interesting take on it.
Yeah.
But they what they had to work with, they pulled off a lot, because
It's true.
it was a small theater.
Yeah.
And I went back and watched the tape of because every performance they would tape it, even though it's not a lot, but they would, and way in the back, so it would be the back row.
Right.
And so you're not getting close-ups or anything like that, but you can at least see the stage, and every now and then you would pan in and pan out.
Okay.
And we had the luxury of being in a bigger theater. With that type of situation, you're in a cabin and all that.
Right.
I mean, I had the whole stage. I mean, we had so much more to work with from that standpoint. So, what we saw on a tiny box.
Right.
They pulled off a lot, so I'll give them credit for that. They did a nice job with the staging of it. So
Nice. Yeah.
And but
There was one or two performances that I thought were solid, but overall.
Yeah.
So having talked about all this stuff and everything else, just kind of bouncing around and thinking about stuff. Entertainment-wise, Mr. McCaffrey, what are the kind of things that you like to do when you get an opportunity to, aside from drinking alone? Are there any movies you've seen recently, or movies you're looking forward to, or
That are not porn?
yes, that are not. Oh, I broke him. I'm sorry.
See, Palo Alto looks good.
Yeah,
James Franco is in that. I forget who.
is that the one where he's flirting with a younger girl or something like that?
Yeah, he's a high school. Was it field hockey?
it's not on my
coach?
list.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks good though.
There was the whole furor where supposedly he had sexted an underage girl and everything. It turns out it was totally for the movie. So that's cool.
Well, let me ask you this: did you see any of the Hunger Games?
I did.
What'd you think of them?
They were entertaining.
Yeah, they're
Cool.
good,
I
weren't
liked
they?
them.
Did you read the book?
No.
Neither have
I
read the
never
books
even
yet
heard
either.
of the book until the movies came
Same
out.
here. I had no clue
I'm
what
not
all
a
the hubbub
15-year-old
was.
girl.
Yeah, I have no clue what all the hubbub was, and I went and saw the first one. I rented the first one.
Right.
I went and saw the second one in the theater, and I enjoyed them.
Yeah.
I think they're doing a good job of it. For whatever, I'm sure the book is fantastic.
And she's wonderful.
Yeah,
So,
fantastic.
God.
RoboCop. You see RoboCop?
I did.
This one?
Yeah.
And what'd you think?
Not as good as the first.
Yeah, I
Not as
agree.
good as
That's what
the
Tony
original.
said.
I
That's
agree.
what Tony said.
It's the guy who played it. He did a solid job of acting. The story was okay, but just didn't hang together well
Wasn't
enough.
as fun.
No, nowhere near as much fun. It was really dark.
Yeah.
Without any, it just was edgy without a whole lot of relief.
Yeah, the early one was
Campy.
darkly comic and
Yeah.
campy.
More playful.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
more
here's one.
effective.
Here's one that's coming out in video, and I can't wait to see it. Jack Ryan, Shadow Recruit.
Is that with,
I saw that in the theater.
Chris
You
Pine.
did?
and-
What'd you think of it? Don't tell me any. Don't give me any spoiler alerts. But what'd you think of it?
It was fun.
Okay, that's good. Here's
It's
one.
worth a rental.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to rent that one. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. Here's one. 300 Rise of an Empire.
I actually saw that at the theater.
And
Mixed feelings about it. It had some great moments, and of course, it has that fantastic green screen.
oh my god,
You know, some of the things that were done by the different characters. It's like, you don't leap off a cliff that's 8 stories high, land on the deck of a ship, and start fighting. You leap off a cliff that's 8 stories high, and you land on the deck of a ship with both ankles and one femur
Yeah,
broken,
yeah.
screaming, and you don't take over the ship and stop the.
I would be crying.
Yeah, you don't.
doing 300 Rise of an Empire.
But it was well done, and the guy who was the lead did a good job, and the I think another Australian actor or New Zealand, I'm not sure, I can't think of his name right now, but and the woman who was the main bad guy in it, wow,
Oh, she was a good guy. No, she's a bad guy.
yeah, she's the main opponent, and she's fantastic. I just think I really loved pretty much everything she did, and the sword fights and everything were always fun. But yeah, there's a lot of, listen to me.
That one's coming out in the next couple of weeks. Coming out
on DVD for rental. Yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be a fun watch on your big screen. So
Okay. What next? Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
It was fun.
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
We both loved it. So you liked it too? Nice.
Yeah, I was wondering though if Robert Redford was at all embarrassed doing it. Like if he thought this is fluff. Why am I doing this? I don't need to do this. I'm Robert Redford.
Yeah, but there's an aspect of that where the flip side of it is I'd like to think Robert Redford said, this is fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a little surprised with the choice, but I bought it.
Yeah,
He was good.
He's
Of course he was good.
But there was just so much going on in that. I just thought it was fantastic. They did such a good job with that.
It was a lot of fun, and they left enough loose ends. There was the one bad guy character who was beating the crap out of Falcon, who looks like he may have survived. Now,
Yes,
who's he going to be? He's going to be,
There's Easter eggs on those.
yeah. So I'm
And then,
looking
of
forward
course, the Winter Soldier and the Secret Avengers,
Yeah.
and yada, yada, yada. But
Yeah.
I digress.
to it. Yeah.
And now that out in the theaters, Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Not seen it.
Not
I
seen it.
haven't seen it yet.
I went and saw it last week.
Yeah, I heard that you enjoyed it.
I did. You know what? I went in. I've been holding off on it because I saw the first one.
Right.
And I was like, I didn't, a teenage. He's just, meh. And it's Spider-Man.
Right.
But this one, they did a really good job with it. I thought
That's
they
cool.
did a fantastic job with it. It was a lot more playful. Spider-Man was a lot more centered in his skin of being Spider-Man, so
Cool.
and I thought because of having 3 villains, they were going to do the old Batman, all 3 at once trying to attack him
Yeah.
with the Penguin and Mr. Freeze and Catwoman. No, they did it totally different. They came at him introduced him one at a time. So each time he had a challenge. He had a challenge with a
he
villain.
had to step up.
Yeah,
That's
he had a
pretty
villain.
cool.
So that was good, and I just thought it was well done. And of course, there's some spoilers in there, but I'm not going to say anything about it.
I appreciate
but
that.
I think it's well worth the rental.
So how are these? I haven't seen the new Spider-Man movies.
Okay,
Are they better than the
Yes.
Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire?
I'd go back and forth because I really enjoyed the Sam Raimi ones. I liked Tobey Maguire as the character. I bought him. I enjoyed it. But if you didn't, I can understand why. From the standpoint of looks and story and everything else, the reboot is pretty cool.
This
as
one,
far as I'm
thought,
concerned.
this one I thought competed with the first Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. The first because there's Spider-Man, and this series is called Amazing Spider-Man.
Right.
So the first Amazing Spider-Man.
What's the difference?
Well, because there's different actors, so they had to, have to figure out a way.
And they're
to
actually
separate 'em.
different titles of the comics.
Yeah, because
there
there's
was
actually different comics. One's
Spectacular Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man.
Amazing Spider-Man, so
you know,
on. So
And Tobey
It's different
Maguire's got to be
storylines.
about 40 now.
that's terrible.
That's aging Spider-Man, but anyway,
Right.
that's a different comic line. And then, of course, this weekend or last weekend premiered Godzilla,
yeah.
and I was gonna see Godzilla,
But?
and I went to the theater to see Godzilla, but since the times were so close with Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Godzilla, and I'm like, if I see Godzilla, Spider-Man next week's gonna be gone because X-Men's coming out.
Right.
So I go, I better see Amazing Spider-Man now, and I can always see Godzilla and X-Men back to back this weekend coming up. So that's what I'm gonna do. So I haven't seen Godzilla, but I've heard good things. In fact, what do you think it's done in the opening weekend on the box office there, big fella?
No clue.
I heard somewhere around like 68 million, something like that.
93 mil.
No kidding.
It's one of the largest openings for this time of year for that type of movie. Now they got a budget of 160, so they're more than halfway there.
That's cool.
And that's
And
after,
the
it was a
one
big
first
opening for
weekend.
them. It was
Good
a
for
big
them.
opening, yeah.
And I've seen mixed reviews, like friends on Facebook and everything. There's some people's like, "Oh my God, it was the perfect Godzilla." I couldn't have asked for anything better. And other people who were like, "Wow, is anybody else willing to admit how much they hated this Godzilla?"
Yeah.
My one little trivia thing, one of the things that I really enjoy, a mutual friend of ours named David Cronmiller.
Yes.
A mutual friend of his is this martial arts actor named T.J. Storm. He's a martial arts teacher, martial arts actor, and he also does motion capture for
That's
all
right.
kinds of stuff.
Okay, I know where you're going with
He is Godzilla.
Godzilla.
It was so cool to
Godzilla,
see.
Godzilla,
There was
Godzilla,
now the movie is out, seeing a picture of him in the mocap suit with the giant tail hanging off the back. So
I saw it on Facebook. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool.
So did he have a beef with them making him look fat?
That's right. That was the thing.
you know what? This guy is somebody. First of all, he's in incredible shape, and I don't think he really gives a crap. He's getting paid for the
That's
mocap.
right.
You do what you want with it.
If he's
So,
a little heavy on film, well, they do say the camera is about 10 pounds.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah. So
in this case, maybe 10 tons.
Yeah.
And this weekend is the premiere for X-Men: Days of Future Past.
I'm excited about this.
I'll see that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see that.
I read the comics and I collected the comics up until the early 90s before I just kind of ran out of money. And they were also trying to put out so many different titles to get your money that storylines and artwork just started turning to crap. But one of the last great storylines that I read was Days of Future Past, and it was just such a badass idea.
They're coming to get you.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I love it.
Having to reach out from the past, sending, the different characters through time and stuff like that. And if that's the way it works, have no idea how it's going to happen in the film. So, but it looks like a blast. I've gotten to see a clip that was the beginning of a battle scene when Sentinels are breaking into their base.
Yeah.
And just the setup of it all, of the different mutants getting ready, and then there's a moment where Kitty Pryde, who's Shadowcat, and she can phase through solid objects, right? She's grabbed one of the heavy hitters, one of these guys who's bomb ass, and she's just running straight through the place, like everybody else is bouncing and following the the catwalk or whatever the path they have to. She's just dragging him through, and the intensity of that, without even knowing what happens next, was so much fun to watch. I'm like, this could be really good.
Yeah.
So, what do you know about it? I mean, what does it? Aside from the fact that it's an X-Men movie, is it anything that appeals to you at all, Jim? Or
Looks fun.
okay, that's you don't need any more reason than I was just wondering if there was anything
I
about
didn't
it.
read the comic books.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, hey,
You weren't a nerd. Okay.
just
Well,
FYI.
yes, I was. Just different.
You weren't a comic nerd. Okay.
FYI, Amazing Spider-Man in 3 weeks has done 172 mil.
Nice. Good for them.
They don't got a budget, so I don't know what they spent. Neighbors,
Right.
okay, with
Rogen
Seth Rogen and
Efron.
Efron, budget of 18 mil is in 2 weeks done 90 mil.
Good for them.
return on investment. there.
I've heard a couple of people say that it was much funnier than they ever expected. Like they kind of got roped into seeing it and went, "Oh my God, that was a blast!" So I'm going to watch it on a rental. It's not something I want to run out for, but you know.
Captain America, Winter Soldier in 7 weeks, 250 million, and budget of 770. So they're making money.
So they made their money back. Good.
How
good
about
for
this?
them.
This is one.
I worry about the studios. I really do.
This one
'cause,
blows me away.
I can't afford Medi-Cal. So
Lego Movie.
yeah,
How much you think it's made so far in 15 weeks?
500 million.
Close.
I would have said somewhere in that neighborhood, like
254 mil. It cost them 60 mil to make.
it's a silly, fun, ridiculously fun movie. Like
That's
it was one of those
fantastic.
movies that I was having a crap day, down day, and I had to kind of kill some time to, before an audition later in the day, to stay in the valley without getting stuck in traffic, blah, blah, blah. So I just went, I'm like, screw it. I'm going to go see this silly movie. I had so much fun. I totally get why. First of all, families can see it without
right.
it. But you don't have to be, a mom or a dad
It's like
with
Pixar.
a kid.
It's like Pixar.
Yeah,
You go there and you bring the kids because they'll have fun just watching the animation. We're going to have fun because a lot of the dialogue's geared towards the adults.
It's got some double entendre, it's got some
that's
little
whatever you say
things
there.
thrown in there.
That's what you say.
But it was such a blast. So I totally get why they've actually made some money. That's a good thing. So
Here's one that it's a head scratcher. Noah. 8 weeks. How much
Right.
money do you think it's made so far?
not a whole lot. I bet 25 million.
25. What do you say, Jim?
60.
60. Jim, you get the closer than Tony award. 100 mil.
Really?
Yeah, in 8 weeks, but costs 125 to make. So
Yeah.
they still got some ground to do.
Yeah.
And let's see here. How about California Chrome?
California.
We got to talk sports. I'm sorry, we got to talk sports. How about California Chrome? Won the Kentucky Derby.
Oh,
won
yeah.
the Preakness.
Yeah.
Only the 34th horse to do it. I went and saw him in Santa Anita
Yeah.
at the Santa Anita Derby, win the Derby. So they won $1 million there. And in a couple of weeks, they're going to be running in the Belmont. And New York State had a thing on what they call nose strips. You put a nose strip
To open the
allow you to breathe,
nasal
right?
passage, right?
Well, they had a ban on those.
For horses?
For
or
horses,
Okay.
yeah. And California Chrome, for the last year and a half or so, has been, ever since he's been using the nose strips, hasn't lost a race.
Okay.
So now he's coming to the Belmont.
Where he can't wear it.
Where they had a ban on it. So what are you going to do as a horse race official? You're going to not allow a guy to go after the Triple Crown because of this, or you're going to change the rule. Guess what they did?
Change the rule?
They changed the rule.
Holy
Are
mackerel.
you kidding me? There hasn't been a Triple Crown winner since 1978 when a firm won it.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, horse racing hasn't been as popular as they would like it to be over the last 10 years. So the last thing you want to do is scare away a Triple Crown potential just because of nose strips.
Right.
Let's face it. So a brave move and a smart move for the sport. So I give them kudos for that.
For a business standpoint.
Yeah,
Anything else.
yeah.
Do you follow any, you ever gone to the horse races or anything, Jim? You ever?
I've never been to a horse race.
I had never been either. This guy was like, I want to go to the track. I want to, make a couple of bets.
We went on my birthday.
We went on his birthday at Santa Anita. And it was fascinating, man. You want to talk about an encyclopedia of characters, of human beings and people of all different
Shapes, sizes, ethnicities,
financial levels. That was
Yes.
a big deal
Yep.
because there's people who probably barely made it to the track, and people who were sitting in
buy the
private
track.
boxes, and yeah, exactly. The owners of the horses and stuff like that. The thing that was fascinating to me, and I'm not trying to persuade you to go or anything, but it's just one of those things. Forgetting the fact that horses are beautiful animals, forgetting the fact that these horses at the track are athletes, like our NFL players and everything. they are stunning to look at. I mean, they're really just like astonishing creatures, as they prance by and stuff like that, or get all bent out of shape going into the chute. So, anyways, that's my little thing.
Yeah, and plus it was relaxing. It's a beautiful, picturesque facility to go watch a horse racing. I told Tony this, I'll tell you, is the last time I went there, I had this in my mind that these races came like every 5 minutes. They don't. It's like a half hour, every half hour. So you got a lot of time in between a race to go out and experience what Santa Anita offers. They got the paddock club, they got restaurants, they got all kinds of activities that go on. They got the infield, they got activities in there.
And none of it is overpriced because you're stuck there and there's nothing else close.
Yeah,
factory.
So, well, that's cool.
Yeah,
Is there anything else that crosses your mind, Jim, that you'd like to add about just the experience of being an actor in Los Angeles, or even just talking about what a typical week is for you?
The thing I'm coming to terms with is just trying not to be attached to a specific outcome, and just being happy anyway.
That's cool, man. Is that?
Well, I think it's about that time. Is
All
it
right.
about that time, Jace?
Whenever you want.
Okay.
All right.
Well, we got the cue.
Jim McCaffrey, thank you for coming out and joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I'm glad to see you. I'm really glad I was able to make it out. Steve Sabo, thanks for being the motor and getting all this done. I'm J. Anthony McCarthy, and this has been another episode of Drinks at Sunset with
The Wise Guys.
I really hope to see you all next week, and keep listening. If you ever have a question, send something in or call the show.
See you later.
Goodbye.
On Drinks at Sunset with the Wise Guys. That's all the great original entertainment we have for you tonight. Join us next week for
There it is,
more
guys.
original entertainment. We now return you to our regularly scheduled programming.
It's the Hollywood Rockin' Wrap-Up with your host, Jason Hadley. Citing irreconcilable differences, Twilight star Nikki Reed ended her marriage with American Idol contestant Paul McDonald. However, the two are currently working on an album together, which, if anything like the divorce, will be completely one-sided. Recently retired from The View, Barbara Walters was spotted in Manhattan doing some midday shopping. At 84 years old, that's obviously way past her bedtime. Season 8 contestant Chris Bukowski claims it was actually producers who put him up to making a surprise appearance on a recent episode of The Bachelorette. Now rejected twice by the same show, those producers may have actually been from The Biggest Loser. According to director J.J. Abrams, a $10 donation to the Force for Change charity qualifies Star Wars fans to win a walk-on role in Episode 7. Actually, I should clarify, $10 and the ability to walk.
Oh, loneliness and cheeseburgers are a dangerous mix.
And that's the Hollywood Rockin' Wrap-Up. Follow us on Twitter at Rockin' Wrap-Up.
Thank you for joining us on our weekly Friday lineup of original shows. We now return you to our regular scheduled programming. Stay tuned to Excite Radio for the best in original music. Don't forget, if you missed a show or want to subscribe to our iTunes podcast, just visit iTunes and search Excite Radio or your favorite shows. Until next week, keep on rockin'.